I want to explain to everybody how psychological warfare was manipulated into committing crimes against humanity. Now, extraterrestrials are real. Roswell happened. They have crash retrieval teams. And if you look at the 800 Witnesses and read the book Unacknowledged by Dr. Stephen Greer, and in here, in this chapter, you already see the names of some of them, with top security clearance, highly respected people, you can understand more. So how did they keep the big lie from us? And how did psychological warfare expand to a point to where it is today, where they're targeting innocent civilians and using these as crimes against humanity? Well, let's look at this. So how did we hide all this? How did we hide UFOs when they're real against the masses of millions of people? The answer is the mind hides it. In an Orwellian twist, it was found from past psychological warfare efforts that if you told a lie often and the lie is repeated by respected authority figures, the public will believe it. One of the masters of psychological warfare during World War II was put in charge of this diversionary tactic in the late 1940s. General Walter Bedell Smith helped coordinate the psychological warfare components of this ET problem and launched the big lie. UFOs, even though thousands of people report seeing them, did not exist. For every sighting which made its way into the public eye, there would be an official denial and worse, ridicule of the observers themselves. Harvard astronomer Donald Menzel was trotted out to tell the world that it was all hysteria, that UFOs were not real, that it was all embarrassing nonsense. While all this denial was going on, an interstellar species was being interrogated in the top secret underground bunker. And one of the extraterrestrials survived for 3 years. So the surviving extraterrestrial from the first Roswell crash was referred to as the EBEN, E-B-E-N, which is short for extraterrestrial biological entity. So there you go. So now, when at first it was deemed we had to, national security, we had to classify all this, keep it from we the people, now they're using it as a weapon against the people. Now it's being used as a weapon against our national security. And all this classified information is being used to hurt innocent people and commit crimes against humanity. And if people look at targeted justice at the Fifth Circuit of New Orleans, they will see people being microwaved, being attacked with Havana syndrome, which is a directed energy weapon attack, where they're having severe brain damage. These are innocent civilians in our country. And of course, you don't hear the news media is really talking about the civilians. They've talked a little bit about the CIA agents, but do you know why MSNBC and all the major news medias aren't talking about it? Because back in the Pentagon Papers, Daniel Sheehan from the New York Times reported that when he researched it, the CIA actually pays the national security editors of all these major newspapers to keep their damn mouths shut. So half the stuff that's going on right now in the United States, you're not hearing about. It's only what they want you to hear about. And we, the people, need to reclaim our country. So everybody needs to call their senators, their representatives, the president, like I have done, and the committees and say, we demand full disclosure. We want everything that Dr. Stephen Greer has worked 33 years on to be brought to the public. We don't want anything to be classified in the name of national security that commits crimes against humanity and is treasonous to our government, because a lot of these now underground military facilities no longer report to Congress or the president. They are an entity unto themselves, a shadow government with its own military, its own air force, its own navy. And they have such advanced UAPs, they dance around in Navy sits and they're arrogantly flashing around, and Shriva Space Force Base is saying, we own every bit of airspace up to Mars. And there have been people or entities on Mars already. There are buildings on the moon. Why is all this being hushed up? Why don't we, the people, know all about this? Because it's all about power and greed and running this planet. And it's not going to go in the direction you want it for your children and grandchildren if people don't start waking up.